That was very dramatic. You're like typing, like, is he writing the code for the ASP.NET right now?
I am right now inventing a new framework.
Fantastic. It is the ASP.NET Community Stand-Up. It is Tuesday, and it is April, and it is going to get pretty crazy, isn't it? Here we've got Build coming up. We've got Ignite slash TechEd slash whatever we're calling it right now. We've got .NET Fringe next week in Portland. There's still time to register if you're in and around Portland. Lots of stuff going on.
Yeah, you're kind of freaking me out. There's lots to prepare for. I'm preparing for a bunch of stuff at the moment. We've got some. I'm doing a live Connect thing this week on Channel 9 as well, and I'm doing some pre-recorded stuff as well that I have to write scripts for, which
What's
really.
the Live Connect thing?
Oh, Seth and Mads and me and some other people are doing a thing from the Channel 9 studios, and people can ask questions
Oh,
live online. So that's on Thursday. I think the Visual Studio blog or the Channel 9 blog, one of them just blogged about it. I tweeted it before, so that's happening this week.
cool.
Yep, so that's going on. And all the stuff that you talked about, I'm off to Code Mania in a couple of weeks in New Zealand with my boss
Hmm.
and your boss, and then back for Build, and then the week after that, I think is Ignite, and before that, we've got .NET Fringe, and then a month after that, I'm off to Oslo for NDC, and I'm sure there's other ones in there I haven't mentioned as well. So.
Yeah, well, there's angle brackets in the end of May, at the middle of May, actually. We're moving it down to Phoenix. People should check that out because if you didn't get Build tickets and you maybe aren't in Chicago and you didn't go to Ignite, angle brackets, I will be there and I'll be showing you all the cool stuff from Build. So that would be a cool opportunity to get Build at a less than Build price at
Awesome.
anglebrackets.org. So yeah, a lot of stuff going on, and then hopefully we'll take some time off in the summertime because I'm kind of burnt.
Yeah, I must admit, my kids are on spring break at the moment. It's my daughter's birthday today, and I would love nothing more than just to do nothing for a couple of days at the
And
moment.
and and you're going to the doctor today.
I'm going to the doctor in like 50 minutes, which for an Australian must mean there's something really seriously wrong with me because
Yes, Australians usually go to the doctor only when there's some kind of traumatic amputation.
yeah, I still haven't quite got used to the cast of thousands that's involved with doing just a general practitioner type of visit here. It's like you go in and then someone takes your blood pressure. You're like, oh, you must be the doctor. It's like, oh, no, no, I'm just a nurse. You go, oh, okay. And then there's someone takes your height. You go, you must be the doctor. I say, no, 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 I'm another nurse. And you go, okay, well, then someone asks your medical history. And at that point, you're just like, I just want to see the doctor. But then you get the bill and you understand why it cost a couple $1,000 just to go to the doctor here.
See, we'll go to the doctor. Like I'll be like, got a little frog in my throat. You should see the doctor. Go to the doctor right away. Australians are like, should I get that looked at? It turned black and fell off. Is that a problem? You know what I mean?
Not much they can do for me now.
I think a dingo ate my finger.
Yeah, that's right.
So what's going on in ASP.NET vNext slash ASP.NET 5 as we call it now?
So Beta 4 sign-off continues. Beta 4 is going to be quite a large release. There's a lot of new features and a lot of bug fixes and some renames and a whole bunch of really big stuff in Beta 4. So there's been quite a lengthy sort of verification and sign-off process, and that's continuing. So if people have been watching the source repos, there's been a sharp downturn in churn, the amount of code that's being checked in, because we're busy verifying and just sort of fixing critical bugs right now. So that's been good. That said, we have had some updates to some of the tools. So DNVM, which is the tool you use to manage multiple versions of DNX on your system, that's had some really cool updates in the last week. You can now self-update the DNVM tool. At the beginning, we kind of said, oh, DNVM won't change much. All you use it for is for changing DNX. But we've added some really nice features to it in the last month or so. And so we've now got the ability to self-update. So you can keep up to date with all these latest features that we've had coming in with DNVM, and the cross-platform DNVM has been getting a lot of love too. So the Bash version of the PowerShell script that we have on Windows has been happening, which is good.
And those are, if I may, those are intended to be the same. I mean, the idea is whether you're on Linux or Mac or PC, you type DNVM and it works as you would expect.
Exactly.
Whether it is implemented in PowerShell or Bash or whatever,
yeah.
It's an illusion that they are written in two separate languages.
Yeah, and I mean, who knows? Eventually, maybe they'll end up being the same code base somehow. I'm not really sure. There's multiple options for doing that, but right now we have a PowerShell version for Windows, and we have a shell script or Bash script version for Starnix. So speaking of cross-plat, there's other cross-plat stuff going on. We've had some good instruction updates, and a bunch of the guys here now are using Linux and OS X and trying out a lot of things. And so if you go to the home repo, though that first set of instructions has been updated with some better details on how to get started on Linux and OS X, which is good. And there's obviously lots of great work happening for Mono as well. We've got some good instructions now on how to get up and going on Mono. We've been fixing a bunch of, or helping find bugs on Mono and getting them reported so we can get them fixed. And at the same time, we've been doing work, or Microsoft's been doing work on the cross-plat core CLR. And we've had some great community contributions on that as well. And everyone can watch that. It's all up, the open github.com/.net/core CLR. So I'm really excited to see a lot of the fantastic cross-plat work going on at the moment, which is good.
Is it fair to assume that there'll be some kind of an update to Visual Studio at build or some release, like another beta, so that we won't be, because as we mentioned last week, we're in a weird state where we came out with a beta and then we changed all the command line stuff, so it's not really accessible to the average Joe and Jane.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's fair to assume.
All right, cool. So I think I'm personally gonna wait. Like I don't want to break stuff.
Yeah, so you can absolutely run them side by side because we changed not just the command line name, but also like the name of the folder in your user profile where these things go, and the TFMs inside the NuGet packages. You can run them side by side, so you can sort of keep CTP6, do all the old K-based stuff there, and then if you want to use new stuff, you'll just have to not use Visual Studio because unfortunately the packages, because we changed the name of the TFM in the packages, you can't just point at the latest packages from our nightly builds because they contain names that VS just doesn't understand. Things just won't work. So you really have to do them separately. What else is going on? We've been working lots on nailing down templates. Templates are kind of boring for a lot of people, but we sweat over templates a lot. We try to make sure that we get just the right balance of example code, starter code, and just getting out of your way when you want to create a new project. So we've been a lot of work getting those all up to shape for the next version. Currently the templates aren't open on GitHub. I think it's in a private repo, but we've been talking about whether we could potentially make that a public repo as well, so that people could see the changes to the templates as they come along. So that would be kind of nice. So I'll let people know on here if that happens. And that's pretty much everything I had. We've got a bunch of questions here, which is good, so I can answer some questions. Blah, blah, blah. Great friend of the show. Is this similar to general stand-up in the industry, but oh, okay. Yes, we do this every week, and we just talk about stuff that's happened in the ASP.NET 5 sort of world in the previous week. Often we have John Galloway here to highlight some community contributions. Otherwise, Scott and I will just talk about what the team has been doing in the last week. Peter asks, what is the underscore global imports file, .cshtml file? So in Razor 4, the new version of Razor in ASP.NET 5, we have a new feature, which is the ability, we added a bunch of new directives. So directives in Razor are the things that you generally put at the top of your view, like @model or @using, or we have some new ones, or it used to be like @base class or something like that, and then we have new ones like @import, for declaring a property and having it populated from dependency injection. Sorry, @inject, I should say. And then we have @add tag helper for registering tag helpers. We have @tag helper prefix for setting the prefix for tag helpers. So those things can now be globally declared in this global imports file. The global imports is where you put declarative Razor stuff that you want to be inherited in all of your views. View start remains the place that you put imperative stuff that you want to be run as part of all views. So view start is code that runs. Global imports are what we call directives that get imported into all Razor views. So that's what that is. Is the API for tag helper stabilizing? Yes. There is still, that said, there is still some churn coming. So the beta 4 version of tag helpers will have a number of very large changes around tag helpers, but there will still be some rather large changes after that in what's currently being called beta 5. I hope to get most of the big changes complete in the release after beta 4, but beta 4 will be a lot more stable from the previous version. So you can look at the history of that by looking at our own tag helpers in the MVC repo and looking at how they've changed. But yes, it is stabilizing, but we still have a couple of big changes to go. Tag helpers have changed a bit since Scott's blog post. The attributes are prefixed with ASP, and the Razor directive is slightly changed. I was looking at Damon's tag helper starter web, where he namespaces tag. Is that recommended? It's not really recommended. It's about choice. So there was a whole bunch of feedback regarding whether tag helpers should have something clearer in the markup to denote whether they are a tag helper or not. We decided to make that optional, so you can register a prefix that the Razor parser will use to determine when an element should be considered for tag helper processing or not. In my tag helper starter web sample, I use that prefix. I configure it to th:. You can make that pretty much anything you like. In the templates, however, there will be no prefix configured. But the tooling in Visual Studio is at a point now such that tag helpers stand out very clearly. They are a different color from normal HTML elements, and they are actually bolded as well. And you can change that in VS settings, obviously, to whatever color and sort of font that you want. So it's not necessarily recommended. It's really just what we have given you options to do. Regarding the ASP prefix on attributes, that is specifically a convention that we're using for our attributes, and we only do it when we create tag helpers that target existing HTML elements. So if we're going to create an input tag helper that runs whenever we see an input element, if we need to add extra attributes to that, we will create a new attribute and prefix it with ASP dash, so it's very clear that those attributes are part of the tag helper and not part of the standard HTML element. You don't have to do that when writing your own tag helpers. We just chose to do that based on feedback that we got early on. Someone's asking, jumping in at CTP7, do I follow Stephen Walter's January blog post that explains how to configure VS to keep up with the nightly builds, changing his pay stuff, or do you have guidance posted? Basically, right now, you can't keep up with nightly builds when using VS, harking back to what we were talking about before. With the next version of Visual Studio that will be out, you'll be able to do that again, but right now, in CTP6, you're effectively frozen to the versions of the packages that shipped with Visual Studio. Is it VNext or 2015? I think 2015 once released. So VNext was the name that we gave to ASP.NET VNext before we had a number, so it's now ASP.NET 5. 2015 is used in two places, Visual Studio 2015 and then .NET 2015, which was kind of an umbrella sort of marketing banner that covered a whole bunch of different .NET related releases that will be coming out in this sort of wave of .NET stuff this year. And it includes .NET Core, it includes ASP.NET 5, it includes .NET Framework 4.6, it includes Roslyn, it includes Ryujit, it includes a whole bunch of new stuff under that .NET 2015 banner. I just upgraded to DNX. It's working great, by the way. Are the new framework short names DNX 451 and DNX Core 50? Yes, they are. And is ASP.NET 50 and ASP.NET Core 50 deprecated? Yes, they are. Joel Kaufman was on .NET Rocks today talking about debugging and mentioned in passing how cool it would be if the good old null ref exception could provide more info to the dev. Sure. I'm not quite sure what more information you need other than something was referenced, tried to call on it, and it was null. I think it's been that way for 15 years, but I don't know. You can certainly log that feedback on the .NET Core CLR repo if you wanted to suggest that exception should perhaps have more detail. When CCP 7 hits, or whatever the next version will be called, are you still instructing us not to run VS 2015 alongside VS 2013? No, that wasn't the guidance even for CTP 6. CTP 6 was slated as a side-by-side release. It was safe to install side-by-side with VS 2013.
Yeah, I've been running them side-by-side without any issues at all.
Yeah, so that shouldn't be a problem for you. You should be able to run them side-by-side. I know a lot of people here run them side-by-side as well.
Sure.
And where is the best place to post a bug report for VS 2015? That would still be on Connect, the standard sort of Microsoft site for giving bug-based feedback for various Microsoft products.
Cool. You should probably go to the doctor.
Yeah. I'm not, you have
enough time?
Oh, yeah, I've got plenty of time. It's not until another 20 minutes yet.
Oh,
but that's
good.
all
I was worried.
No, it's all good. It's not like my leg's falling off just yet. I think I'll be fine.
Cool. That was good. We banged through the whole list of questions. That's great. Yeah. As always, we are available. Twitter, Facebook,
Jabber,
GitHub. We are available. No excuses for saying I couldn't find an ASP.NET person to answer my question.
Yeah, that's right.
Cool. So this is the ASP.NET Community Stand-Up, and we will do another one again next week. It'll be in the afternoon Pacific time. So,
That's right.
okay, dramatic zoom.
Zoom. Bye.